Hello, dividend executives. Welcome back. Today is Saturday, so the stock market is closed, but I wanted to go over such an eventful week. We had an absolute yo-yo in the account, and we had an absolute blow-up of all crypto proxies. And you guys know, obviously, I have many assets outside of crypto, but I trade a lot of crypto as well. And so we got beat up a little bit this week, and so we had to do a little bit of rolling where we're rolling down and out. We're trying to get a credit, and we're trying to preserve some capital until the market can flip around. As you guys know, the story right now is the government shutdown. Everybody is on ice, not knowing when it's going to shut down, how long it's going to go. We're already breaking records on how long the government's been shut down. Pain is being felt. Airports are being shut down, and there's just a lot of fear in the market right now. And so what happens when there's a lot of fear? Well, risk-on assets usually end up pulling back, and we saw that a lot this week. And what we also saw is we saw really, really good companies with phenomenal beats just get absolutely bodied when it comes to stock prices, right? And one of those is our favorite, Hood. So I want to go over that just a little bit here. I want to go over the vote that happened. The vote came in at 53 to 43, looking like 3 Democrats crossed the aisle. And that's about it, right? We still did not get an end to the government shutdown, and so there's still a lot of uncertainty out there. But I want to talk about how I'm managing it, how I'm going to switch it up a little bit here as we've seen some cracks, and where the account's sitting as of right now, right? So we're sitting at 174,299. Friday was a really good day. We ended up having a nice bounce after a brutal start, but we're still down on a couple of positions, and we still have a lot to manage. So we're sitting at 174 for the week. We're down about 10 grand. Like I said, got absolutely bodied. For the month, we are down 7,400. 3 months, we're still up about 2.9%. Year to date, we're still up 27%, which is not too bad considering where SPY is. I think we're still beating SPY by 2x. And then 1 year, we're up 32%. All time, we're up 98.45%. So we lost that $100,000 profit mark that we were at, and we lost the 100% mark. But that's okay. It's just part of the ebbs and flow of the market. But what we have learned here is that maybe the portfolio was just a little too heavy on the crypto side. And we've been trading a lot of really, really safe Delta ETH puts. And if you guys have been following ETH, it got absolutely destroyed this week. So if we look at the 1 week chart on ETH, down 24%, right? So a lot of the times when I sell puts, I give myself at least a 20% buffer. And it got absolutely blown up. We sold the 90 puts. And I think ETH, when we sold it, I'd have to go look, but it was more closer to this $100 mark. No, I think it's a little bit higher, 116-ish mark. And we ended up having to roll it. So if we go to the position here, we sold, I guess we could just look right here. Let's go, let me pull this up. We ended up rolling it down and out. We ended up getting, let's just keep going back here. Bought some ETH there, November. Gosh, we sold it a while ago. 125 calls for 350. Yeah, so there it is right there. Geez, all the way back to October 28th. We sold some ETH puts at the 90 strike. We got paid $320 for that trade. And the stock had to fall, like I said, over 20% to go in the money. And it obviously did. So what did we end up doing? Well, fast forward to yesterday. Let's come all the way up here. We ended up rolling right here. So we ended up rolling our ETH puts. We rolled it down and out from the 90 to the 85, which freed up $1,000 worth of collateral. It got us a little bit closer to the spot price, which is now trading about $81, $82. And the reason why we did this is because we just want to manage the risk in the account, right? If we already have 250 or so shares of ETH, the stock's fallen, 30% over the last week and a half, then we don't want to be buying shares on a falling knife, right? So we ended up rolling it down and out. We paid a cost of $80 to do that just to manage the capital. But again, we freed up $1,000 worth of capital. So overall, it was a win, but we ended up having to pay for that. So full transparency there. That's how we managed that. And then we made some purchases this last week too, right? We bought some more ETH at the $90 strike. We bought to close both of our SALT calls, which we had out there. So we booked a couple of $100 on these ones. Bought to close for 30 and bought to close for 10. We sold some TSLL puts. for 11.14. So those are out on the account. We bought some FBL. Facebook has been getting absolutely destroyed. And so we've been purchasing some shares there. And we purchased $1,000 worth there. We got assigned on Bull at the 10.5. I sold those really aggressive at the money, just trying to get my cost basis down there. We did lose 600 shares a couple of weeks ago and at 11.5. So I tried to buy some back for cheaper. Connell puts expired worthless. Connell expiration 29.29, so we beat that by just 29 cents. SoFi expired worthless. Rivian ended up getting called away, so we booked some nice profit there. ETH 125 calls expired worthless, so we booked the 350 there. TSLL expired worthless. And then Hood, gosh, I really wanted these shares, but it ended up at 130.36. And so we'll end up probably end up trading. If I were to bet, or if I were to guess, we'll probably, honestly, I kind of want to go aggressive again. I'll probably trade again this week, maybe at the 126. Yeah, we'll probably hit anywhere between the 125, 126, and we'll collect. I'll do at least 2 of those. I've really been trying to buy some Hood shares on this pullback. It's just hard for me not to get it. Hood had a really, really good earnings report, and they got destroyed, right? So look at the week. Down 11.4% or $16.95 after a double beat on EPS and revenue. And then they also pretty much beat in every single category. They had a great call. I'm obviously bullish on the stock. The stock's up really high, and so some people are saying it's overvalued, but they just continue to ship products. So I'm gonna continue to try and buy Hood at the 130 strike. So that's where we're sitting as of right now. 174,000 in the account. Our buying power is up to $49,000. So when I said I'm gonna sell, 2 or 3 Hood puts, that's most likely what a good chunk of the capital is gonna go towards. Maybe anywhere between $20,000 and $30,000 we're going to allocate towards Hood puts. Again, I'm going to start pulling back a little bit from crypto until I see a better bounce and I see some support being put in. A lot of people are saying, that the crypto bull run is going to continue through Q1 of 2026. I'm more in the park that if it's not already over, it's going to be over by the end of the year. Of course, nobody knows. Nobody has a crystal ball, but we saw some really, really good signs this week that there's just too much weakness in the market, too much uncertainty. And so for that, I have to protect my capital. And I'm going to play some companies that I don't care about getting assigned at any price, right? Hood being one of those. I bought some Meta. I bought some FBL. You can see the Meta, about $3,000 there. FBL, which is leveraged, another $1,000 there. So about $4,000 worth of that. And then obviously we have some money in Salt and ETH, but everything else is non-crypto proxies, right? Bull, not related to crypto. We have some Rivian, we have some SoFi, we have some Tesla, we have some Hood, we have some Amazon, and we have some QQQ, right? Majority of the money being in QQQ. But the reason why I don't want to add any more besides ETH. My plan is to hopefully will out of ETH, keep the 40 shares in case we end up having some massive rally. But outside of that, I want to see more strength before I start selling puts, because selling puts is a bullish strategy, and you do not want to be selling puts if stocks are going down 30% a week, right? So just one thing to keep in mind. When we look at the options on the table, we have those ETH puts that are up 50 right now. Again, the hope is that these are expiring worthless on Friday. We have the TSLL 16.5s. I'm looking at probably adding more to that. Maybe I'll put the position to 10 this next week. TNA, I would love to get a sign there. That one's still out of the money, but I would love to get a sign. Maybe I'll add 2 more to that. Wouldn't mind having a little Russell exposure in the portfolio. The MSTX ones are getting absolutely bodied, right? MSTR has been just destroyed. I actually just put out a post on that this morning in the big account. I can actually just pull it up here. And that the reason why I want to talk about that is because sometimes you just have to roll positions until right here. Sometimes you just have to roll positions until you make a losing trade win, right? So MSTR is down 27% over the past month. I don't want the shares. I started selling puts back on October 7th. I got paid $504 for that. Then that was at the 295 strike. Then we were in the money, and so we rolled it down and out. We rolled it down and out. We rolled it down and out. And we got a credit of 130 the first time, a credit of 200 the second time. We paid a debit of 30 the third time. But we've gone from 295 down to 252.5. And we've received a credit overall for doing that, right? And so sometimes you just have to roll positions or manage positions that are going against you until they go with you, right? And so that's where we're sitting on that position. Excuse me. And then, yeah, those are all the positions we have in the account. So MSTX, I'm still chilling on. It's not in the money. Oh, it is, I think, actually. Yeah, it's in the money as of right now. But I'm not too worried about it. I could roll that when we get there. But again, this is still more than a month away, and I still think that we're going to have a nice push into the end of the year, especially after the government shutdown is over. I just really don't see a market or a time where the government's going to be shut down going into Thanksgiving. I don't see it happening. It's one of the biggest holidays in America. It's one of the biggest travel days. I think everybody would lose it if that happened. So that's what I'm betting on. I'm betting on in the next 2 weeks that the government will reopen. People will start getting paychecks again for the work they're doing, and we'll get some resolution there. So that's what I'm looking at in the market. Of course, full transparency on the trades. This is every single trade we had in here. Where we got bodied this week, I talked about it already, but was on the roll with ETH, right? So this ended up being, we lost $1,800 on that trade, or I'm sorry, $1,550 on the trade. But keep in mind where we lost $1,550, we got $1,790 on the credit, right? So we still ended up losing money. That difference between the $1,870 and the $1,790, which is the $80 we saw in the history. So we lost $80 on the trade. But the trade before that, of course, was a loss, right? We had to buy to close those ETH puts for more than we were paid to open the original ones, right? And so the hope is, as an option seller, is that ETH was above 85 on Friday, it expires worthless, and we get all our capital back, and we move forward with an $80 loss overall. Worst case scenario, we're in the money again on Friday and end up having to roll down and out again. Hopefully we can move it from, let's say, the 85 down to the 80. And we just continue, just like with MSTR, we just continue to roll it down and out until the stock can get some life, and then we'll get our capital back and we'll start putting it back to use. But sometimes that's just how it goes. So here's where we're sitting in the portfolio. Largest, we're at 46,320, 1,151 so far on MSTX, TSL at 6,700, ETH still at 6,773. So we still make a really good amount of profit on that stock so far, even though we've been bodied as of late. Connell at 6,200, Hood at 4,800. I really want to get Hood up there close to the, $6,000 mark. And again, I'm going to be trading it heavy this week because I want some shares, especially on this massive pullback from the all-time highs. Soxel Bull, and then you see the rest that we've traded there. So where we sit in as of right now, yeah, we're about 66% of the way to this goal. Again, we had to roll options from last month. So what happens when you do that is I pulled profit from October on that ETH trade, and it moved it to November because we got a massive credit that was rolled forward, right? So we have some work to do. The number's going to be a little bit skewed there, but we're sitting about 2,000 for the first week. We just need ETH to cooperate this week, have a little bit of greed, and then we should be good to go there. So we're sitting at 46,200 or 320 for the year, averaging 4,200 a month. Total gains, willing in and willing out, 5,608. We're averaging about $145,000 worth of capital. And we're doing about $1,000 a week when it comes to trading options. So 7 weeks left of the year. I can't believe we're already done with 2026. Only 7 more weeks left. If we were to put all this money in SPY and just sat there, we'd only be up 13.84%. So we're beating SPY by about 27%, even with this huge pullback. Again, high risk, high reward, right? I took larger risks on ETH, and the stock's just going to move like a high risk asset is. A lot of people don't like trading high risk assets like that, and that's why I have a portion of my portfolio that is set for that kind of stuff. But with the risk, comes pullbacks too. So we got to just keep focusing on what we can control. And we just continue to trade with the information that's in front of us, and hopefully we can will these wrong positions into right. Everything else is looking really good. The only thing that we really have to control right now is ETH, and then hopefully we can get ourselves some hood shares and we can get some calls fired off. So that's where we're sitting at for the month. This is how the portfolio is doing overall for the year so far. Still really, really good, beating SPY by 2 times, and we have a lot left to trade. So stay tuned. Of course, I will be posting it every trade, of course, in the Discord. I'll try to get a video out every single week like I always have in this portfolio. And hopefully this is helping you guys. If you've had trades go against you, this is how you can manage them, right? Sometimes you just have to will them into a positive thing. So appreciate everybody as always. Happy investing, and we'll catch you next time.